Every day, we are learning more about our changing world. Every day, ideas are born, challenges become opportunities. To achieve our purpose, we need people who can turn ideas into reality, who can create success. That's us at ABB. Thinkers, engineers, scientists, innovators. We push the boundaries of technology to make industry safer, more intelligent, and more productive.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Peter Bryant, Chairman of the Development Partner Institute and Managing Partner at Clareo. What an extraordinary year this has been. And one of the things that we've seen is that sustainability in all its forms, including ESG, has been catapulted to the top of every organization's agenda, irrelevant of industry, including government, community, civil society. The mining industry is facing increasing pressure and demands from long-term investors, including asset managers, from consumer-facing organizations and the users of the materials, and also from our communities and Indigenous people, and from other sectors of civil society. The choice is clear that we need to get ahead of this and also not continue to do things in the same way. The magnitude of the changes and the speed at which these changes are being demanded of us demand a new mindset and a new approach to how we tackle sustainability. You may ask, why do I call this an innovation challenge? Simply speaking, is that today we treat sustainability as something around compliance and risk management. And we need to shift that mindset and approach to one of value creation. And value creation is at the very heart and definition of innovation. Innovation is not about new ideas, but about new value. And as you see on this wheel, innovation is also beyond just technology, which is what I think the mining industry construct is. Innovation is around supply chain, business models, customer experience. And in fact, some of the greatest value creations are not technology-based. And the sustainability challenges are broad and numerous. It expands from the community prosperity. It goes through to climate change and the emissions, our environmental footprint from water to the earth to the air, and also to the circular economy. So this demands that we take a different approach. And innovation is a team game. It's not an individual sport. And I remember, as we go to the next slide, that the CTO of Equinor, the large Norwegian oil company, said that in terms of climate change, that magnitude of the challenge is greater than one company and one industry, and lamented that the oil and gas industry was not a good collaborator. In fact, since I work in many industries, including oil and gas and mining, I would say the oil and gas industry is actually a fairly good collaborator and much better than the mining industry. And a good friend, Professor Mohan Swami at the Kellogg School of Management, stated that a company can be only as innovative as the collective capacity of the people that make up its ecosystem. So this really challenges us as individual companies, as an industry, that we need to shift significantly in creating an ecosystem that is not only within our four walls, but within the industry and extends beyond the mining industry. And this is something that we need to do differently. And there are some bright spots that we see. So we're not starting a zero-sum game. So two business model innovations that are quite significant is Anglo American's Economic Development Initiative in the Limpopo province, which was a partnership with the regional government, Exxaro, a South African mining company, CSIR, and the World Vision Organization, around developing economic prosperity with mining revenues as the stimulus across agriculture, tourism, etc. The Development Partner Institute's Rockefeller Foundation Initiative is a multi-stakeholder approach to accelerating the drive towards responsible sourcing and ESG adoption throughout the value chain. We're seeing some exciting technologies being developed around sustainability. Lilac, which has a major investor in the Bill Gates Clean Tech Fund, is an ion-based extraction process for lithium, which saves on energy and water. Novamera, developing drilling technology to sustainably extract only the minerals. And Offworld, which is taking a lunar mining robotic technology to drive sustainable mining using swarm robots. So these are just a few bright spots. We need to do much more. And we need to look at these as like a lighthouse or a spark to light the path ahead for us. We need to do more of these things that we see. But we need to understand how innovation works in this context. And we need to understand that there's real three buckets of value creation in innovation. Incremental, where we do things that improve performance by 10%, let's say, whether it's cost, less energy, water. The radical transformation, which is where we make significant improvements, 30, 40% to those dynamics. And transformation is where we totally change the approach that we do. However, the industry, as I've been saying for years, continues to underinvest in innovation, not only in technology, but in business models. And now the demands of the shift in sustainability performance demands that we invest more, and also how we proportion that investment. So if you just go back and say on that one slide, please, and how we invest money. So the CRC published a report, which I thought was very insightful and very sad in effect. They said the total investment in R&D in Australia in mining was $259 million US annually, which was paltry when considering the economic contribution and overall R&D spent in Australia. And further, they said that R&D investment was too distributed across too many organizations and was too incrementally focused. So the challenge here is, as we understand where the value buckets are in innovation, how do we increase our investment, and how do we spread a more balanced portfolio of investment, and how do we together invest rather than do this as individual companies? But to make that investment work, we need to get innovation right, and how we do that. So we have a concept called the innovation stack at Clareo, and this is after 20 years of experience at the Kellogg School of Management, working on the edge of innovation. And companies need to get each element of this stack right. They need to be performing well on the why, the where, and the how. And we see where organizations are sub-performing in any one of these areas at any one time means that innovation will not perform or deliver the value that it promises. And that's when organizations get impatient. So we need to reimagine how we think about sustainability, but at the same time, we need to apply the approaches to innovation that make innovation successful if we're to meet the demands of society. So if we think about how we do that change, I think there's some instruction from other companies. So let's take a look at some. So we may say it's very easy for organizations that start off with sustainability at their core. And examples of that are Patagonia, Allbirds, that actually make sustainability a fundamental part of their model. Unilever, on the other hand, I think shows us an approach that when you're a large established company, you can make sustainability an integrated part of your business model. And what I mean by that is Unilever several years ago, Paul Polman said that sustainability is no longer the responsibility of the sustainability department. It is the responsibility of every business leader to integrate it intimately into their business. And the sustainability department became an enabler. And in fact, to make the point, Unilever actually disbanded its entire sustainability organization, passed all the responsibility to the business units, and then reestablished the sustainability group as an enabling organization. And Unilever's performance in those areas has really been quite significant. So I think they show us that it's possible, and they show us an approach. And if you think about the mining industry and ourselves, is we've done that with safety. You know, once upon a time, safety was the safety department's job. Now it's everyone's job. We need to achieve the same thing in sustainability, but we need to do it in far less time than what has been achieved. And you might say to me, how is this going to be possible? Because we're a pretty slow-moving industry after all. But I think if any one thing, and I've spoken to a lot of CEOs of this industry and others, that we've shown ourselves in 2020, is that when we have a need, we can move fast. Companies have told me that they have developed and done things that may either have been impossible or taken years, and have done it in months, in a matter of weeks. So I think if we put our minds to it, we can see that even the impossible or the difficult can be done quickly and in a way that delivers real value very quickly. So one of the big opportunities or challenges, if you like, is going to be in the area of what I call the triangle of trust. So, and it is a multi-stakeholder dilemma. You know, we live in a world of low trust of companies, low trust of government, low trust of our institutions around the world. And various incidents in the last few years have really eroded the trust between communities, governments, and corporations. And I sit in the World Economic Forum's Resource Minister Conference, and this is a serious problem. And I think organizations, the industry, and individual companies need to work really, really hard to think about how do we re-engage our communities in a way that we rebuild the trust, but rebuild it in a way that makes it sustainable. Because we all know just through normal human relations, it's very hard to earn trust and keep trust and very easy to lose it. And the same goes for in resource development. So this is an area that requires particular focus, but I think it's one that requires us to bring all stakeholders in the room and to do this together. And again, this brings back us to innovation being a team sport. And the challenges we face are one that are industry-wide. So something that I've seen that's very interesting is a way to rethink how we do our sustainability strategy and strategy overall is the Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations. So there's 17 of these, and I'm involved in several of these through certain initiatives through DPI and the UN. And the thing that I've heard is some companies are actually redoing their entire strategy through the lenses of the SDGs. And Wendy, who's the executive director of DPI, is leading an effort in Australia, in fact, with a cadre of mining companies to think about the Australian mining industry and how we contribute and impact each of the SDGs. Now, we may not impact as a company or as an industry all of them, but it's an interesting way to rethink our company strategy and where we can contribute or impact on each of these SDGs. I was talking to a board member of a big health insurer in the US, and she said it's Anthem, that they have actually their entire corporate strategy is anchored in the SDGs. The executive compensation is anchored in delivery to that. And I found that interesting that a health insurer would do that. So, and I think the rationale for a mining company doing this is greater than that of a US-based health insurer. So there's really a call to action here. As an industry, we need to extend and build out our ecosystem. We need to move from what I call a procurement transactional approach to partnering to one of collaborative partnering where we are all equal. And this gets back to this concept of truth to power. Often many stakeholders, whether they're communities, startup companies, smaller suppliers, other industries, feel less powerful than we are. And we need to let them speak their truth and understand what their needs and what their upsides are when we're working with them. We need to continue to build trust, as that is the anchor, the foundation for all collaborative partnerships that deliver value. We need to work faster. And I remember a conversation I had with Chuck Jeans, the former CEO of Goldcorp. Okay, and I'll relate to that when I wrap up. It's very interesting when he talks about fast follower versus leadership. And I think at the bottom of all this, it is about a new mindset and a new approach. We can't expect that we need to, as an industry, continue to do what we do today and hope for different outcomes. And we need to understand what is it long-term investors, communities, and society expect from us. And I guess the dichotomy of all this is that the mining industry is critical as a contributor to the electrification of the world. But at the same time, there are many elements of society that advocate that, are also advocating to shut mining down. So it's not so much about education, it is about us lifting our performance, that we are a sustainable contributor to a sustainable future. So the question that we ask of each and every one of you at a company or industry level, are you willing to be a catalyst and a leader or a follower? And the story I want to relate as I wrap up is that of Chuck Jeans, the former CEO of Goldcorp. He was speaking at an investor conference about 3 years ago on a panel that I was facilitating. And he said, I was for a long time a believer and advocate of being a fast follower. But he had come to realize that that was an excuse not to do anything, or had become an excuse for the company not to do anything. And he was asked a question by somebody in the audience. If everyone in the industry is a fast follower, who's going to lead? So I think as an industry, we have an opportunity not only to become leaders within our own industry, but leaders amongst all industries. If we really put our mind to it and think of sustainability as an innovation challenge. And I'm not talking about organizationally, apply innovation thinking, innovation approaches, and innovation mindset to drive a new level of sustainability performance for each company and the industry as a whole. I'd like to thank Shireen and the rest of IMARC for the opportunities to speak with you today. 10 minutes is not long to talk about this subject, which is the subject of many conferences, in fact. And feel free to reach out to me. I'm available on LinkedIn, and my emails are contained in my LinkedIn profile. So again, I'd like to thank IMARC and wish everybody a good day and stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Every day, we are learning more about our changing world. Every day, ideas are born, challenges become opportunities. To achieve our purpose, we need people who can turn ideas into reality, who can create success. That's us at ABB. Thinkers, engineers, scientists, innovators. We push the boundaries of technology to make industry safer, more intelligent, and more productive.